Hey, what's up, CAUSENETIC family?
Welcome to the CAUSENETIC podcast.
Hey, CAUSENETIC means being a person, thing that gives rise to a phenomenon that's dynamic or energizing.
We're tackling topics and telling the truth.
I'm Keith Benson.
And I'm Rodrigo Ross.
And so today.
Not tomorrow.
Today, we are talking to my man, Jason.
People are going to think his first name is Jason and his middle name is Jason. It's just one Jason, Keith.
Jason McCann.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Jason McCann. And who is he?
He's the CEO of Vari.
Yes.
I mean, so I don't get the luxury to sit at his desk each day. But,
I do.
But you do.
And let me tell you, because I'm going to be very, very fancy right now.
Okay.
At this current moment, I have two offices. And both my offices have his furniture in it. It's amazing. If I wear a 3-inch heel, my desk is fine. If I wear a 4-inch heel, my desk is fine. If I wear flats, my desk is fine.
So, how do we get to this desk space? Like,
it is so excellent. Oh, it's so.
I mean,
excellent.
you've made America stand up.
That's yes,
right. Like
all
the time.
We needed to.
You sit down and do your work. Well, now we should have labeled the show instead of the show is called Leadership Level.
Leadership Level,
because
but
like, you bring it in.
But you see what I did there,
yeah,
right?
Levels. Like you sit up or you stand up, regardless how tall you are. Your desk go to the level of the height that you're. I get it.
Levels,
I get it.
Leadership levels.
Little leadership elevated. We're getting
yes.
Just kind of keep rising.
Just keep rising.
And
we're getting there.
You're dominating the space right now because
it.
Everybody has. I mean, even in the home space. Not just the office space, that people are standing up.
It's so much so to the point, like, you know, how one brand dominates the space that every brand is called that name, right? Like back in the day, everything was a Xerox copy, whether it was Xerox or not, right? So everything is a Vari now, whether it's a Vari or not, although don't get the knockoffs. Like, I'm telling you, there is a distinct difference.
You want
to get Vari. But
trust me.
How did you get here?
Yeah, it was an incredible journey. You know, my business partner was having back pain standing at a cardboard box.
Wow.
And I jokingly walked into his office and I said, what are you doing? He's on. When I stand up, I feel better. And so I asked my doctor what I should do. And she said, you should stand up more. And it's like, okay. So he said, I need to find a standing desk and couldn't find one. So we were online looking and our assistant Rosemary was looking. Wow. Couldn't find one.
Wow.
And suddenly he came up with the idea for that original Vari desk is where we started our journey just over 10 years ago.
Wow.
10 years, man.
Crazy. Lots happened in 10 years.
I know. Like you are transforming your organization totally now. I mean, I know you moved from the urban location out to the out to Capel, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And now you are kind of in this space place right now. It's not just about the furniture part. So
creating the whole space.
Yeah. I'm a CEO and an entrepreneur at heart, and so I think about teams, building great cultures. How do you attract and retain talent? How do you grow a business? And growing a business is not this smooth, easy thing.
Indeed.
It's a battlefield every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not from the furniture industry, but I'm from the world of entrepreneurship and hard work and hard knocks. So starting to go through that process, we were focused on serving our customers, serving my team, growing a dynamic culture. And as we started to expand our product, we said, what else do we need to serve our team members? People were asking for anti-fatigue mats, even shining in those 3-inch shoes. You need something a little softer. Well, let's create them. Let's have monitor arms. That expand. Then when CEOs walked into our building, they said, I want this. And they were literally looking around, but they were describing the energy of the space, the culture.
Right.
That's what we do. It's more than standing desks.
Yeah.
It's about creating workspaces that elevate people, that expand and contract, that transform and change, and a new way of thinking about the workspaces of the future.
Yeah. I remember when we got to go and visit your offices when you were in the Irving location before we moved into our new Capel, and they had like this sample, right? This sample space of what our offices were going to look. First of all, they built like a whole sample office. And you go in there and they have so many really well planned, thought out spaces and colors and feels. And I was in there like, I didn't even know I needed this, but I need this. Like this little area, I got this green chair. I gotta have this chair, Todd. Like I gotta have that chair. I didn't know I needed it, and so I have that very same chair in my office right now. But it was amazing to me how you guys really did think about the entire space. Like the desk really was the last piece. Like, oh, we got that down. We know what we're doing with it. It's the other components that, I mean, even so much as they have hooks on the desk for women to hang their purses. I was like, oh, that's amazing.
You talked about, so we got the experience of the setup and the furniture and all that, but you talked about the energy there.
Yeah.
Like, how does your setup transfer over to just your leadership style and then how your team leads all together?
Yeah,
like,
my whole thing, my mom was the first CEO I knew. So growing up and working in her hair salon in Galveston Island and sweeping the floors. And she always described as a CEO, as a leader, it's your energy that the floor is going to take.
Yes.
And so when you're starting your business as a CEO, they all feed off you. You're attracting people. It's all up to you. When we got to about 120 employees, I recognized I didn't know everybody's name. I didn't know if they had kids or dogs or whatever. I didn't interview everybody at that point. So we had to go through a process and really define our core values. What are we built on? Yeah. And as we define those core values, what my president, Jeff Lamb, who was the chief people officer at Southwest Airlines, said, if you get your core values defined, you hire through that and you filter through those core values, that team adds to the DNA and fabric of your company, all marching towards a common mission and vision. Yeah. That is what we did. And I said I would have crashed at 120 employees or if I was 25. But to get those foundational things in place, starting to really scale, that allows you to build something bigger. Yeah. At first, it's all on you.
Right.
Yeah. But as you scale, you've got to really define that, recruit to it, and allow them to add to the DNA and fabric of it.
Yeah. This whole idea that culture is not organic, right? That is a very thoughtful, intentional process.
And it's hard to define, but you feel it when you walk into
a
company. When you meet, it's when you're not in the room, what are they saying? Just like your brand. And so that's how we think about it. And so it's because I'm not going to be in every meeting. Right. It's not all about me.
Yep.
And my goal is to build something like y'all's brand here that can live beyond my lifetime. Right. So I'm doing my job to nurture this and steward it. But if I do my job right, then the culture and the business can actually evolve beyond me.
Because people think that like, well, all right, we're going to have a meeting, our strategic plan, and these are our top 3 things, and these will be our values. All right, go forth and do.
That's what they say, Keith.
I think that's how people think about this. Like, we're going to be in this, hey, we're going to come all together. We're going to define this and like, boom, it's supposed to be there. But it's not like a law. Like, drive 55. All right, cool. That's a law. If I don't, I'm going to get a ticket. So, but when you talk about shifting culture, changing culture, defining culture, like that is, how do you create that energy? How did you guys get started with that?
Yeah. So what happened was I started to question people that we had hired, and I could tell they didn't align with the values.
Yes.
And my team said, what are the values? And I've read tons of business books. I'm a huge fan of lots of great CEOs and leaders out there. And what I realized is I hadn't actually taken the time to write ours down. So somebody that helped us create Vari University. So we were doing leadership training, one-on-one meetings, and doing all this. I leaned on her, Corrine, and she's a consultant out of Boston. I said, hey, she goes, I can help you. Because my team was doing that. We're sitting in the room, we're like, oh, integrity. Is that a value or is that a... What is work hard? What is that?
Yeah.
And it didn't feel right. She said, let me help you. She said, give me a list of people to talk to. And so I gave her a list of 17 names of people, some I had known for a couple weeks, that I could just tell they had the energy, and some that had been with me prior at my other business at Jemmy that had come over that I've worked with for 10 plus years. And then she interviewed Dan and me, and she interviewed all of us, and 6 core values came to the top. She just asked us questions.
Yeah.
And as she started to go into there, and she said, be authentic, be a team player, believe it's possible. I'm like, oh, yes. And we started to write those down. She said, embrace change. Raise the bar. And it started to just, these words started to happen.
Yeah.
And so she sent me a draft on the email, and I hit print on my printer. And as it sat on my printer, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get this and start, socializing it and sharing it with people. It was the same day that my now president, Jeff Lamb, walked in the building on a tour, just like y'all came on. And I'd been struggling with growing pains. And I said, does anybody know a real chief people officer? I've read about him. I've never met one. They said, well, Jeff Lamb used to be the one at Southwest Airlines. He's in Capel. He's willing to come for a coffee tour same day. This is God, divine intervention, whatever it is. Jeff comes on a coffee tour and he describes what I described, that value story from Southwest. And I said, I've got our values on my printer. Can we talk about these? And I shared them with him. And we don't have doors on our offices where it's real collaborative and open. He goes, you're doing what Southwest was doing. This is what it's all about. You're on the right path. And it's been incredible how all these things align and work. And that's what we celebrate too. And what I realize is I've been living those since day one. And now we've got them on paper. Now the team talks about, we celebrate them. We open up our all hands meeting. Those are the first things that come on. We recruit to them. I share them with clients. Yeah. If they don't align with us, okay, we don't have to do business. There's plenty of other places. You can go to IKEA and ruin your Saturday if you want.
And take forever to put together.
That's right. You can ruin your whole weekend, or I can come take all your pain away. It's either way.
I like
It's
that.
all good.
I mean, like, you want people to be able to come to work and be in this space of that they can be authentic. I mean, you say that word a lot. And like, man, you're creating that. That's amazing.
And the fact that it's so intuitive to you, right? It's not like as a CEO, you portray these kinds of attributes from 9 to 5, but really you go and you do something like you could tell, no, that's just really how Jason
It's who we are. It's who we are. And you attract people like that.
Yeah.
And then they add to it because everybody's different.
Yeah.
And so that allowed me to go from 100-person employee doing tens of millions of dollars in sales to hundreds of employees doing hundreds of millions in sales. Like it's a different scale. So you start to grow and it allows you to challenge yourself as a leader to grow and scale.
Yeah.
And really you're setting up the foundation for future leaders and entrepreneurs to learn how to do it and carry it themselves forward. So it's really lifelong skills, I think, that we're embedding in for our clients. I mean, y'all are celebrating this with us too.
And your values are who you are outside of the office space.
Yeah,
totally.
I often think that leaders create values internally within their organization, and then they go home and live a different life. And I'm not saying anything extreme, but it's like, I think you got to be the same person, and therefore you can just, when you walk in the door of your office, then you're just who you are, and not just now across this threshold I got to shift to be something different.
Yeah, I think at 25, I'm 52 now, and so I think you start to realize, hopefully I've got 48 more laps, right?
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah.
And so, but as you think about those things, it's much you start to realize the importance of authenticity, the importance of living it 24/7, and then sharing it and doing it all the time. My kids see it.
Yeah.
My other leaders see it. They all bring it as they get celebrated for addressing concerns or bringing up challenges. And we address those things, and you're not punished for it, for being authentic, for raising your hand. I got a question. I don't know. What are you saying? All those things actually make us stronger. Yeah. And new people coming on, watch.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. And then we all elevate together.
Yeah. Well, clearly you are excellent at it because DCEO named you their CEO of the year in 2021. Like,
we got DCEO on the CAUSENETIC podcast. How about that?
That's right.
I think he's like the definition of what CAUSENETIC means.
I absolutely believe that he is the definition of CAUSENETIC. And you didn't even know it, right?
He's phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Dynamic, energizing. We're gonna change this to the Jason McCann podcast.
No.
I mean,
we're not even gonna call it CAUSENETIC anymore.
Why not? Man.
It's excellent, but kudos to you for that accolade. I'm sure there are so many CEOs that were like, "Yay!"
But
they're
like, who is this guy? We've never heard of him.
And he still made it to be the CEO of the year. See, that means you're not doing something right. But how was that for you? How did that feel?
Yeah, when Christina Perez, the editor, called me and said, "Hey, we want to do this," and I said, "Am I nominating somebody?" She said, "No, it's you."
It's you.
And I said, "Who? Like who?" And she goes, "Me." And I'm on a call with her, and I said, "Why?" And she said, "Your optimism and hope and communication and clarity during the last year of uncertainty to the world has been inspiring.
Yes.
We've seen the impact your team's had through your giving campaigns, your volunteer, the work that you're doing, the impact you're making. And it was emotional. So I only told my wife because I didn't know if it was actually going to happen. Because you always have that. You said that. I was like, did I dream this?
Prank me.
And they're like, hey, we want to do a photo shoot. I was like, can we do it at our South Lake location? I'm trying to lease that building up if you could. So she said, sure. So the photographer showed up, and I was like, oh my God, this is really happening. Then I'm like, is it really going to go to print? Like, I didn't tell anybody. I was just like,
it's there.
I was like, just in case I screwed something up. Or they were like, no, it's really going to be a real CEO.
It's there. It's real. It happened.
But it was all. I was so humbled and honored.
Yes.
It was a great win for the team too, because it's not about us.
Yeah.
And we recognize that.
Yeah.
So whether it's my mom or grandmother or generations before me that have done other stuff, but it's just kind of a cool win for all of us. So
now you and I share this kind of thing for the Shark.
Oh,
yeah. So
little Shark Tank fans
here.
Yeah,
So you got one of your first buyers?
Yeah, one for office furniture.
Was
Damon John's
Damon
team
John?
in New York City.
Wow.
Like, I mean, that's pretty.
It was awesome.
That's pretty fancy.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Fancy.
I mean,
he's an incredible entrepreneur, and just like he is on television, just like his books read. He's so authentic when you meet him. But George had back pain that worked for him and bought a Vera desk where we started. And so our guys delivered it. And he was working on this new cool co-working concept in New York City back in 2016. So the team was going to fly down to Dallas. They were here for a meeting and they wanted to see our space, just like y'all walked around.
Yeah.
And we had these prototypes, 60-inch desks, 5 feet wide in our office. And they said, yeah, we're going to need full desks. And we were like, hey, we got these full desks. These will be great. And they're like, these are huge. You don't understand New York City. Like everything's a little smaller.
Yeah.
So they went to Heart 8 Barbecue in Capel for 90 minutes. There, I said, just keep them at there. Just keep them at the barbecue place. And my guys went in the shop and cut down the desks to 48 inches, painted them, tweaked them, put the legs back on. And when they came back from lunch, smelling like Heart 8 Barbecue, smelling good, like the fireside ordering. You can smell it now. It's almost lunchtime.
Right.
And they come in and I go, I got your Texas-sized desks over here, and I got your New York-sized desk right here. And they were like, you have got a deal. And we shook hands on a deal. And that got us into our first office space in New York City.
Oh.
So talk about that, though. So you made a decision on the spot.
Right.
And not, okay, well, we'll come back.
Can you come back? Let's
3 months from now, and we'll see.
Yeah.
But like, what? How do you get to that plot? I mean, we'll have a lot of younger leaders that listen to the CAUSENETIC podcast. And it's that flexibility that you have, being nimble, thinking on the spot to disrupt, to change things.
Just solve the problem.
How did that come about? How does that come about for you?
I think for me, it's intuitive, but I think as an entrepreneur, you've got to be listening to the fan base.
Yeah.
You've got to listen. And the beauty of today's technology is you're getting feedback all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
More than you want, but it's the nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have an opportunity to show. You've got to take your idea and your product, and I always describe it as kind of like a newborn. So it's going to be beautiful to you, and I think this is wonderful. And other people are going to your kid's kind of ugly, but they may not say it.
Right?
But you got to.
I might be frowned upon, but you thought it. Right? You thought it.
But you thought it. But you got to pull it. You got to get that feedback.
Yeah.
And that iron on iron sharpens that idea and gets it better. But you've got to be in growth mindset all the time.
Yes.
And when somebody hits you with negativity, you're trying to monetize it and turn it into something positive. Like, oh, I hear it. How do I react to it?
Yeah.
And not being shut down and, oh, my life's coming to an end. It's more about coming back with the volley back over the net.
Yeah.
And that's how I think about things all the time.
Yeah.
But that's a great, and every entrepreneur ought to be thinking that. I always describe for entrepreneurs today, if you can look out there and see these painful things that are happening, and we saw it with back pain initially, but really how furniture was bought and workspaces were designed, those pain points you can actually monetize, especially where your passions collide with them. That spot is a great place for you as an entrepreneur to play in. Right. So if you're excited about it, carving rocks or doing whatever, and people want it, and that pain point is there, you can actually monetize it and build a beautiful business or something right there if you can turn that into something.
But people they gotta
want it. Yeah, you can't just. sometimes it's just a hobby.
Well, yes, let's go with that with the rock carving.
Well, I'm with my rock carving. I'm gonna stay with the hobby side, but like
with the fishing, like with the painting, like with
I'm just saying that's my hobby. But so you say painting, like.
Speaking of,
I mean,
first of all, I'm feeling a ways right now because not only did I grow a $1,000,000,000 business and I was DCO, I'm just an artist too. Like I'm just an established.
It's about to become a commissioned artist. I mean,
I'm just an artist too. I just do that in my free time. Like, what?
Surely there's a whole way to put a painting on it.
Like,
hey,
sure, we
get my life
something
together.
to go with this orange. We can put something right here.
We can. We have space. So, how did you become an artist now? I mean,
well, I think all of us have creative, juices that fly inside of us, and we explore them all the time. And I did some fun painting back in the early '90s, just for fun. And during the height of COVID, I was under stress like everybody, and so I got a canvas and I jokingly splattered some paint on it, kind of Jackson Pollock style. And my kids are like, "What's he doing? Splattering paint?" And it's all hot in the garage, and paint's all over. My wife's all upset. There's paint all over the floor, and I've got cardboard, not even a drop cloth. I don't even know what I'm doing. But I felt something. Like I was bringing a canvas to life, and I started to just do it over and over and over again. I try to do at least one a week now, and I'm literally just trying to bring something to life with colors and energy. And I describe it as energy that's going into these canvases, and it's just, I've got friends that I'm like, hey, just make a donation to a nonprofit like this, do something. I'm doing some for some charities upcoming that will hopefully raise some money, hopefully more than $100. But they for me, they just are a release, and it's been a great fun hobby. And now to go to the museum here and kind of see real artists on the wall, and go over to Fort Worth and see, I feel something. So I'm just doing more of the things that feel good. I think like all of us. So
I think everybody has to find that thing.
Everybody has
for
to
them.
find that thing for sure.
And, if few people like it, great. If few people don't,
it's okay.
That's okay too.
It's okay.
It's just me.
As long as I don't put too much paint on the floor in my garage, and I can stay out of the doghouse. I'm okay.
I know your wife. Don't you got some space somewhere? Aren't you in the space business?
That's right.
Can you go find
you a basement over there in Los Angeles?
I'm CEO of the year, regardless of whatever my painting baby's doing. I'm
putting the car on the street.
CEO of this house, up in this house.
You're right. You're right. That's correct.
That's right. She is CEO of the CAUSENETIC.
That's right.
I understand.
You're right.
I just get a little.
So speaking of during the pandemic, when there was this shift to people working from home, and it seemed like everyone was going through this process of redoing their home office or creating their home workspaces. Like, how did you guys experience that in Vari? Was there like a rush or a need to create different kinds of maybe not so commercial spaces? So how'd that look for you?
Yeah, it's been an interesting. So we had just rebranded from Varidesk to Vari. We had spent millions of dollars to go on television. Hey, we can deliver an office in 28 days. And I hired salespeople in 15 different cities across the country. And it was like, we're off. And then suddenly the world almost stopped.
Gosh.
And I was sitting there at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night going, okay, what's going on? The salespeople like, and I thought it'd be over in a couple of weeks, in a month, and obviously it wasn't going to be. But you're right, our e-commerce started to sell, and people started to say, hey, I'm on a futon. I got to have like a real chair and a desk. So thank God we were one in Texas. We were able to operate as an essential business because we were supplying work from home products. But people wanted that electric desk.
Yes.
And we started shipping out thousands and thousands of desks while our corporate business offices actually slowed down.
Yeah.
So it was a lifesaver.
Yeah.
And I did things, we pivoted. We said, hey, Vari has work from home, 10% off. We did some crazy just to survive. I was trying to survive as a CEO and as an entrepreneur and go, okay, I got to do something here. I got 300 families counting on my decisions. I got to be calm in the eye of the storm here and march ahead. And so that's allowed us to expand.
Yeah.
So now we're helping companies think about when our teams were out, we were out for about 2 weeks. And then I reached out to our teams in Asia who were about 12 weeks ahead of us, right? They had COVID first. I said, what are y'all doing? They said, oh, we have masks on and we're doing thermal scanners and alcohol spray and all the things that are common today. And so I started doing all of that in our office because our walls moved. So I spread out we did distance space design, 2 meters apart, all the stuff that Asia was doing. And I said, we're going to figure it out ourselves while everybody's out and doesn't know what to do. I said, we're going to make it happen. And so our team, literally, we started selling work from home. We started figuring out what could our workspace look like. We bought a thermal scanner from Taipei that does high-rise buildings. We started doing single-serve coffee. I started stickers on the floor all before the CDC could figure out what. And we opened up in June of 2020, and I started to post those things and help other CEOs crack the code. And literally, it was like monetizing pain. How do you lean in? And that's what we've been able to do. So it's been challenging but fun.
The Vari setup has been the lifesaver in this virtual space for me, because, you know, at first we thought that it was going to be temporary. So you get on and you get a call and you're looking up people's noses on the side of their face. But once we realized that this is probably going to be here, we should probably do a better job of how we look on camera. And those desks are amazing because they allow you to adjust so that your camera angles are right and you can get the lighting together. And even when you did our space, all of the other gadgets, like the little light that just hangs right over and illuminates you so well, and the little touch things that really help you increase your virtual presence. Like, I would have never thought of Vari in that way, but it absolutely helped us look better virtually. Because of the functionality.
In person too.
I know y'all heard that. Tackling topics and telling the truth.
We gonna tackle. We gonna tackle.
But I'm telling you, I have gotten compliments and they don't know. And I have a setting on my desk. It's the number one set. And I have a conference call. I'll be like, number one, hello. I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to just press the button. Shoot, it goes right there.
One.
And all I have is number one. And then I just touch the little light pad. Bam, it's on.
Game time.
It's game time. Like, before I can even find a little button to click my camera on, I adjusted my desk, turned on my light. I'm ready. Hello.
Right. It just allows you to be ready. Boom.
Just like I'm ready. Just like, because it is very distracting when you're on these calls and you're trying to really talk about something really important or get information, but it's like a weird angle with the person that's talking, and you're like,
because what your desk allows you to do, like,
right now.
If I see one more nostril,
oh my gosh, I think I see your brain.
Get you a bare desk and press number one so it can raise just at the right eye level.
Somebody where the top of their head is cut off, and you're trying to tell them, like, never mind. Just call me.
Number one.
That's right.
Yeah, just number one.
Number
for
one.
Everyone, it's number one.
But you're changing the game though, in terms of, like I said, this whole space setup. And so now you have buildings that you lease out, and you are setting up office space for folks. What are you guys learning in that setup?
Yeah, I think, we had bought our first building, the old Zales headquarters in Irving, right there in Las Colinas, right before COVID. Transformed a building that sat empty for 6 years.
Wow.
Brought positive energy to it. Music in the restrooms, music in the lobby,
music outside.
Music outside.
The music was outside.
When you walk up,
yes,
it's like getting in the club when the music's playing.
Know,
you want to be inside.
Not the club.
That's right. Yes. So you take all those hospitality elements, we put them in the space, and at least, so we were onto something, and we bought the old one of the old Sabre buildings in Solana in South Lake. That building sat empty 11 years, transformed it during COVID and leased over half of it. And we're now building a building. But our whole goal was to learn.
Yeah.
So we had clients like Verizon and Microsoft lease corporate spaces, but then great companies that their CEOs are in there, Trail Runner and Rumble On and Akili, and they've got great organizations inside our company. And we're learning. And they're thinking about, are we going to work 3 days a week or 5 days a week?
Yeah.
But they know if they've got a space that attracts and retains talent, has a great gym, has access to the trails, you got to have workout facilities like these, like all of those elements allow the culture to elevate.
Absolutely.
And being with other great companies, they get associated with, they're like, oh, and then we can host events and happy hours and gatherings, and we're learning a lot. What I'm seeing, the biggest thing is the moment that people see each other. So you've had some companies come in, it's the first time they've seen each other in 2 years. They've been staring at screens. There's an emotional, like, wow, I missed you.
Yeah.
There's also a social capital that's been built over time as we all connect in person.
Yes, sir.
We build social capital. A lot of people haven't had a chance to build that for 2 years. All these young workers, who have heard about working with somebody that's got more experience. They're now getting that chance and to hit the battlefield together. And so those are the things. And then they need more collaboration space, more almost a resumercial feel, because I've been at home. So how do I have
resumercial.
Okay, that sounds like a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have like soft seating and some areas, because I've been at home, and so I want those areas. And so and that's where we're literally thinking, okay, well, you need the space to change over time. And so that's where we're learning a lot. But that's what we wanted to do, is own a few buildings to learn, and then we'll work with other building owners to help them transform their spaces across the globe ultimately.
Love that.
Nice.
So what's the future of Vari? What do you hope is going to happen in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think if we can do our job, that means we've impacted a lot of great organizations to really focus on their people and their culture.
Yeah.
On being more positive, more productive, happier, healthier, as they're starting to build their amazing organization.
Yeah.
So can we be a part of that celebration with them? Can we help them think about it? Can we lead by example? Can we share what's working and what's not? As I think about it on a personal level, I say, if I could build a company that could live beyond my lifetime, could I build one of the great brands? You look out there and you look at what Sam did at Walmart. You look at what Southwest Airlines, you look at American Airlines, you look at these great Starbucks, all these great companies. Do we have a shot to build one of the great brands? And we have a ton of work to do. We're only 10. So we're like, you picture yourself at 10 years old and straight knees and riding the bike and sports. And that's literally the phase we're in. So we're 10. So we're earning it. We haven't hit our awkward teen years yet. Like, I got to get us through all these challenges, but we're excited. I feel great. The team's awesome. I'm blessed every day. So.
I think y'all are onto something. Our experience has been, I've never seen the CEO themselves come walk through after a project is done and still say, is your lighting right? Is the white noise good for your office? What about that chair? I'm just like, I put a sequence pillow in it, and so it's perfect. I love it. My yellow chair. I'm the only one that has that chair.
You're a very special person.
I don't really know how to take that right now.
So tell us a cool story. I mean, you've been in this, and you got the hobnob with some different folks. You got to change the game in terms of layout and office spaces and changing people's cultures. What's a cool story in these 10 years that just kind of pops out to you? Because we said the Damon John one, like that one to me was like, oh man, you had the and then
you did his office in New York. I'm gonna go home and be like, I know Jason, right?
Yeah.
I come in your office. He's gonna be like, no,
I don't know
like,
you,
lady. I don't know you. No.
Yeah. I've got two. So one would be we were able to also transform Mark Cuban's space for the Mavs. And Cindy Marshall went in, and when Mark needed a transformation there, and she came in and did such incredible work for that culture and that team. And I had the blessing of her. She walked into our building on a tour because she was talking about transforming their space. And it was the first time I met her, and she is just like you read. Pure love and energy. And I can't wait for her book to come out in the next couple of weeks. So I meet her, and she walks into our building and says, I had 100 things on my list, and number 100 was to transform my space for my team. They're going to go home for 2 weeks. We've got some GCs that are going to come in and do some work, put some cool new art up, and then I want y'all to transform it just like that. And we were able to transform that space. And for her to know that she was going in there to elevate and transform a culture and leaned on us to be a part of that. And we've done that now in 2 different areas for them. And then part of our giving campaign, we work with some nonprofits. We'll give away product. And I had never heard of Dr. Cheryl Jackson or Minnie's Food Pantry. And she came in and she stood on our stage and she was telling her story. And 11 years ago, and after her mom had passed away, and she's got a box of macaroni and cheese and 2 cans, and she's going to start giving and serving others. And I'm crying hearing the story, and I'm sitting there, and so we want to transform her education center that she's doing up there in Plano. And so we had some furniture. I showed up in the box truck, and I'm out there building furniture, and my team volunteered the hours, and we do paid volunteer time off. Cindy Marshall then donated the conference room. She said, I want you to have the same conference room that I did for the Mavs. She donates that, puts all this Mavs artwork up for her team. And then to see the impact of what they're doing in the community.
Yeah.
And I would say that's how the ripple effect happens.
Yes.
It's one candle at a time. And together, if we can all do that and plant those seeds in corporate America, in the serving area, in the next generation of entrepreneurs, if we can all do our jobs in those areas, the dots connect.
Yes.
Come on.
And the ripple
Come on.
effect is so positive, and we build something much better out there together.
Yeah. I love
Man,
it.
you about to make me shut up. About to make me cut her up.
That's it.
Man,
That's it.
I mean, that's the power of what you guys are doing, right?
Absolutely.
Like it ain't about a piece of furniture, right? It is about, changing and disrupting spaces for good.
Yeah. And changing the culture, right? Culture is not organic. It deserves for people to focus and be intentional and be really driven to create spaces where people have like the best time, right? Like I don't know if people really generally get up and be like, I want to create a space that every time somebody comes into it, this was the best time, right? Whether it's work, it's a restaurant, it's a school, just giving people those opportunities, because there's lots of spaces for us to not have a good time.
That's right.
Let's just go ahead and say that.
Right.
But creating the spaces to just, I had the best time when I went to that place. Yeah, I love it.
Man.
I want to go back and do that. And I had the best time.
Man,
Yeah.
we appreciate you.
Oh,
man.
this has been awesome. Thanks for what
indeed.
y'all are doing. I know, I think you're at episode 130 plus. Lachey will tell us, and I mean, y'all are cranking and doing a positive impact out there. I think every story, every entrepreneur that can be inspired with what y'all are doing is a huge gift that y'all are giving to the world. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Everybody should be like Jason. He was the CEO. I can't get over that. That's just so amazing. Yes.
And one day, it could be you.
That's right.
Oh, the shoes. I'm telling y'all right now, the shoes I'm going to have on that. I don't even want them to take a picture of my face. All shoe shots for the magazine cover. All shoe shots. So there it is.
Covered up the toes.
Whatever.
Hey, look, CAUSENETIC family. I appreciate you guys. We got my man Jason here. We're talking about leadership level. And make sure you go out there and get you a Vari. I promise you will not be disappointed
at
all.
And thank you for listening to CAUSENETIC.
On this episode of Leadership Level.
Subscribe and listen to us weekly.
And don't be shy. Give us a 5-star review.
And as always,
be dynamic,
be phenomenal,
and be
CAUSENETIC.